At this point, we're going to transition, and I'm going to ask Chris Moore, the CEO and President of SDI, to come up. Chris is going to be introducing to us a program that we've put together for MRO Excellence Awards, and Chris will be able to share some of the details regarding that, and Deb's going to make sure I get the slides up.
Sorry, I wanted to do it while we were talking.
Yep. All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Kurt said, I have the privilege of being the CEO here at SDI, first and foremost. So the one thing that I want to do before I get into this presentation is tell you how proud I am of the team that's here in this facility that we have. That's the reason why we hold these events here once every 3 months. So I would encourage you, please, at break and during the cocktail hour this evening, to wander around the building, speak to team members, somebody that is at their workstation, whomever you might want to talk to. We put everybody right out front. We're proud of the team that we have here. Okay. I'm gonna talk about, and I'll be a lot shorter than the previous two speakers because I don't have anything nearly as insightful as either one of them did. We're going to launch what we're calling the MRO Excellence Awards. And while that might sound like it is about the award, it's really a ruse about raising awareness for MRO and trying to create an MRO community. You know, MRO has always kind of been the stepchild of manufacturing, but I would say in the last decade, in my 25 years of doing this in the last decade, I've seen it rise more to the top of importance with indirect people and CPOs and people like that than ever before. People understand that in order to have a sustainable and a reliable operation, that you have to have good MRO supply chain that's dependable, it's going to have the right part at the right price at the right time. And that's not a pitch for SDI. As you've heard from the two previous speakers, you can also do these things in-house. It's just a matter of whether you want to build that competency in-house or if you want to outsource it, or many of the other options that there might be. But what I want you to think about when I'm talking about these MRO awards is while it will be nice to recognize some individuals that are on your team or somebody else's team for MRO excellence, or an organization itself for MRO excellence, what it's really about is trying to create that community so that we can share best practices. And what I like to say is pay it forward. So if there's something that you're doing really well, I understand that if you're a chemical manufacturer, you may not want to share it with another chemical manufacturer, but certainly sharing it with the Hershey company or an airline company or anybody else in this room isn't really detrimental to you. And my hope is that's good karma. We can all share in that together, and we can help elevate the whole MRO community and awareness together. You know, it's not going to be an industry organization like a lot of other industries have or something like that, but certainly it could be the seeds of that, because what creates an organization is a network of people like we have in this room. So that's really all we're trying to do, is stimulate the conversation around MRO, create a place so that we can talk about best practices, and then a place also that when we have young people come into the MRO supply chain in the manufacturing space, they have some place to go where they can read about best practices maybe, or a mentor to talk about best practices, whether that's inside or outside of your organization. That's really all we're trying to start with the MRO Excellence Awards. These are the categories that will be judged. This is what I like to call, or often refer to as, the MRO ecosystem. So, you know, we talked about that maturity curve earlier. There's a lot of different people in this room that their organizations are at a lot of different places. And I spoke to somebody at the break that said, well, I think my organization's about halfway along that maturity curve. I would encourage anybody, no matter where you think you're at on the maturity curve, to participate in the award process. And the reason that I would say that is if you participate in the reward process, that's how you're going to share in the community. So if you participate in the award process, again, we do want to recognize some individuals and some organizations, but that's not really the point. The point is those that participate will also benefit anonymously from the information that is shared during that MRO process. We'll take the applications, we'll make sure they're qualified applications, and they'll go through a judging process. That process will have nothing to do with SDI at all. We will remain completely neutral in it. Doesn't matter if you're a client, a potential client in the sales process, or just here as a neutral party today. The SDI is not going to participate in the judging process. But what we will do is we'll take all of that information and disseminate it to the group of participants in an anonymous format, so again, everybody can try to learn from one another and determine what best practices are. We're going to have a symposium, so the process is starting now. We'll accept applications until July the 28th. We may have to validate those applications either via telephone or site visits, and then those applications will go to this judging panel. Okay. That judging panel will not know if you're an SDI client or not an SDI client or any of those other things. They'll judge on these criteria, and then at our October symposium, we'll announce who the top 3 winners are. And at that symposium, we'll also talk about some of the key learnings that came out of that process. And then, what I would hope to see is after that symposium and we talk about some of those key learnings and we talk about how we can use those and disseminate those to other people, that we do set up some kind of formal or informal network, and SDI is happy to sponsor that or not sponsor that. Whether you want us to be involved or not, I'm fine with that. I'm more concerned about raising that awareness in the MRO community and trying to start a seed that will grow so that young people coming into the industry do have a place to find out best practices and what the best companies are doing around MRO. Whether that's outsourcing, in-house, or some combination thereof, whatever you do, whatever the best practice is what needs to be shared. Okay? So the last thing that I'll say is, one of the big things that I've always said throughout my career is I have an obligation to pay it forward because people helped and mentored me throughout my career. I'd ask that you think about this the exact same way. If you've done something really great around MRO, it's not going to hurt you to share that with the group. Think about it as paying it forward to somebody else. All right? Thank you very much. I think we're going to take a break, Kurt, is that right?
We are.
So, thank you.
We'll take a break for about 15 minutes and then we'll reconvene at that time.